It is the ultimate nightmare for any fighter pilot that has now become a harrowing reality on the ground in Iran. There is at this moment a high-stakes rescue mission that is currently ongoing, trying to penetrate the hostile airspace of Iran to retrieve the second American pilot who was shot out of the sky from his F-15 fighter jet. In a landscape that is full of IRGC patrols and local bounty hunters, every second makes the difference between being rescued or being taken captive by the Iranians. Our next report tells you more.
The silence of the Iranian desert has been shattered by the scream of an ejection seat and the thunder of a falling fighter jet. An American F-15E was shot down over Iranian airspace. US troops managed to rescue the pilot, but the second crew member is still missing. To be shot down over enemy soil is to enter a world where the hunter becomes the hunted in an instant. For a US fighter jet's crew, the transition from supersonic superiority to a desperate scramble for survival is the most brutal test of human endurance. The mission is now a frantic race against time. US Special Operations Forces have reportedly crossed the border, launching a daring search and rescue operation into southwest Iran. Their target is the remaining member of the downed F-15E Strike Eagle. The Pentagon is throwing everything at this: attack helicopters, special tactics squadrons, and a wall of electronic warfare to mask the extraction. But for the pilot on the ground, the ordeal is a masterclass in survival. The first rule is survive, find food and water. They have to stay hidden till help arrives. Then comes evasion techniques. They vanish into the terrain before the smoke from the wreckage draws the enemy. Standard operating procedure dictates moving only at night. With the Iranians imposing a bounty for the captured crew, the threat level is high. If captured, the pilots are trained to give minimal information to their captors. Then the US soldiers are trained to identify escape opportunities and flee their captivity. The pilot carries a survival kit with a high-frequency radio, a beacon and a sidearm, but their greatest weapon is stealth. Tehran has already mobilized its forces to scour the crash site, offering massive rewards for the airman's capture.
The airman knows what he needs to do to remain concealed and not get captured, to try to avoid capture. And again, this would be very serious if the Iranian regime were to capture the downed airman. This would be quite a serious incident.
The downed pilot must navigate a labyrinth of jagged mountains and dry riverbeds while avoiding thermal drones and ground sensors. As special forces close in, the airmen must signal with surgical precision to avoid friendly fire or revealing their position to the IRGC. Inside hostile territory, every sound matters. Every delay increases risk. The rescue team must locate the pilot, secure the zone and exit before opposition forces converge. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
All right, now to put all of this in perspective, we're joined in this broadcast by retired Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis, who is a military expert and also the host of Daniel Davis Deep Dive on YouTube. He's joining us live from Sterling in the United States of America. Colonel Davis, thank you very much indeed for joining us here on WION. You know, the fact that the F-15 fighter jet has been shot out of the skies and one of the pilots has still not been accounted for and is said to be somewhere inside of this Iranian terrain. In your assessment, you know, how do you think this changes the decision-making process inside Donald Trump's war room?
Well, given the fact that it wasn't just a one-off, but there were a total of 4 aircraft either destroyed or damaged on that yesterday, with an A-10 Warthog allegedly being shot down over the Persian Gulf, trying to hit some of the shore batteries. And then 2 helicopters were also damaged. And then there was a couple of other aircraft that also had to signal Mayday because they apparently had been hit, though they were able to return to base. So it was a pretty bad day for American Air yesterday. And what this shows is that it apparently validates what the claim was, that the Iranian side would have some of their air defenses out at the beginning of the war, but then some of the others they would leave in their bunkers until some unknown point of their choosing, when they would pull them back out. And after we thought an area had been cleared already, suddenly it wasn't. And this is making it apparently that was the case. Or, according to some other reports, the Iranians are using a different type of air defense that has more of a passive radar and is more difficult to track. It has shorter range, but obviously quite effective if that's the case. But what it does say is, for the Pentagon, is that you can no longer consider all the airspace open, and you can't just fly freely. And especially if there's a consideration for a ground force operation here coming up soon, that means that the risk to the air crew to try and secure the landing zone, wherever that may be, is going to be now a lot more difficult.
Right, and you also mentioned about the kind of radar that the Iranians appear to be using. It is being described as some kind of a heat-sensing infrared radar that the Iranians are using to track down some of these American planes. The Iranians also put out a video in which they claimed that they had got the F-35 fighter jet, which is a stealth fighter, in the crosshairs of their radars a few days back. In your assessment, why is this something that was not factored in by the American military experts when they went in with these kind of maneuvers?
Listen, all I can speculate on is that we just see, and just got to be honest about this, a level of hubris that says, oh, that's just the Iranians. The belief is that we went in with Operation Midnight Hammer last year with the Israelis going in, and they had complete mastery of the sky, and we could do whatever we want. I think a lot of us kind of believe that on the American side, and so we made an operation assuming that we could knock everything out, because we have had a tremendous track record of being able to knock out air defense capabilities of opponents for decades now. And I think that the assumption is that we would have 100% success and then absolute freedom in the air. And we've kind of been used to doing that. I mean, all during the 20 years of the Afghanistan war, the Iraq war before that, some of these others, and, we didn't lose any aircraft in the 12-day war. So I think the thought is that we didn't then, so we never will. But now we see that the Iranians are a little more capable than we thought.
Interesting. Colonel Davis, do continue to stay on with this. Meanwhile, let me get some breaking news that's just come in.